Hi guys, welcome back to Axis and Allies, the Garrison. This is Detroit coming to you from the bunker here in Rochelle Park with another episode of Axis and Allies, the Garrison. Okay, so it is the USA's turn. For those of you who have been on top of the previous episodes, you guys are well aware that the Japanese inflicted a massive defeat to the American fleet in Sea Zone number 6. Okay, so Sea Zone 6, you had a badly injured U.S. fleet that had been damaged from the previous battle when the U.S. fleet had attacked the Japanese fleet in Sea Zone 6. Okay, so the fact that the fleet had been damaged allowed Japan to be able to counter and effectively neutralize and take out the American fleet in that sea zone. Okay, so no surprises. I was expecting for the Japanese under the command of G.I. Joe to go in there and inflict a defeat to the American Navy. Okay, so no surprises there whatsoever. All right, so having said that, by the way, my son Brandon is going to be my assistant. He's going to be helping me out today because I believe there may be a battle or two that we're going to engage in where he's going to be the cameraman. All right, so trust me, it helps out tremendously when you have a cameraman, especially when you're rolling, moving pieces, rolling battles and narrating a video. So you guys know, for those of you who play in the YouTube wars or that use technology as a playing platform, know that it's actually very difficult to make your moves, roll for combat, and narrate at the same time. So having an assistant definitely makes a big difference.
And
right?
I think for Christmas, I already have your present to that solution.
Oh.
A lot of YouTubers, when they're like going out, like I keep watching these camping videos, and they use these headbands. And they have little GoPros on them. I think I might get you one of those so you can use both of your hands.
I've actually thought about using a GoPro to record my videos, but I'm not quite certain if that's the way to go.
I know why it's easier, because when you have the GoPro and let's say it's full on pictures, you can upload those pictures to your phone. Yeah. And then once you upload them on YouTube, you could just maybe delete them because you're gonna watch them.
Well, that's definitely an option. You know, using a GoPro is at least trying one out.
Get a cheap one, then see how it is.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, all right, that's a good idea. So I will definitely consider the option of using a GoPro in the future to help me record my videos when Brandon's not here. All right, guys. So let's go ahead. It's episode 6.4, the USA's turn. As always, enjoy the show. All right, so this is episode 6.4. Let's review what the purchases were that I made for the USA. The USA has income of 78 IPCs. Okay, so that will buy me, or buy the US, 5 tactical bombers, 1 strategic bomber, and 1 fighter for the US Air Force and Navy. All right, so those are my purchases, and I have 1 IPC remaining that I'll be using for the next round. Okay, so what is the current naval and ground situation for the United States in the Pacific? Well, as you guys already know, Sea Zone 6, the U.S. fleet, with all its damage to capital ships, was sunk to the bottom of the sea. The Japanese also sustained losses. I believe they lost 1 carrier, a destroyer, a fighter, and a tactical bomber. I believe that's what they lost in the past battle. So the Japanese did buy themselves 2 naval carriers and 1 destroyer and a fighter, which they now have and they placed in Sea Zone 6. Okay, so currently the U.S. still has a considerable air force in the Pacific. In Guam, the U.S. has 5 fighters. In the Philippines, the U.S. has 3 strategic bombers and 10 infantry divisions in the Philippines. Okay, the U.S. also has smaller contingents, 1 armored division in Malaya, another artillery division in Sumatra. The U.S. is still in possession, of Korea, where the U.S. has two mechanized and 1 regular infantry divisions in Korea, along with 2 British infantry and a British strategic bomber squadron, as well as 1 mechanized infantry in Siberia, along with a naval transport. And that's pretty much it for the U.S. as far as actual units on the ground and on the seas. So we will be back with the actual order of combat, and we'll be showing you what they are. There aren't that many for the U.S., but they're small battles, but pretty critical, pretty battles of importance, I think, anyway. All right, guys, sit tight, and we'll be back with the next phase of this episode. All right, so let's go ahead with the order of battle. The U.S. will be fighting or declaring 3 battles for this turn. Okay, my first battle will be up in the region of the Amur, where the Japanese have 1 single infantry division. What I'm going to be doing is I'll be moving this mechanized infantry at a movement of 2. 1, 2. I'll have 2 mechanized infantry divisions. By the way, this infantry, the mechanized infantry, is coming from the Soviet Far East at a movement of 2. The 2 mechanized infantry in Korea will move in and attack as well. So that's a total of 3 mechanized infantry going in there and attacking the single Japanese infantry division defending. Okay, the remaining American infantry division will walk into Manchuria unopposed, and they'll be taking that from the Japanese. So they'll be liberating that territory. Not liberating, but actually, I guess Manchuria was considered an occupied territory since the early 30s. So we'll consider it as liberated. All right, so let's go down into the area of Southeast Asia, and let's move the single American armored division in Malaya. Okay, it'll move up north at a movement of 2, 1, and 2, and will be liberating Yunnan for the Chinese. Okay, so that's the second battle, unopposed as well. The third battle the U.S. will be declaring will be a combined naval and airborne landing. This single artillery division will move 2 spaces by making use of its naval transport and will be landing in Guangxi. Okay, all right, so let's go over to the Philippines. There is a contingent of American bombers. Will pick up one infantry division boarding the air transport. 1, 2 at a movement of 2. That bomber has up to plenty of movements. It actually has 7 movements left. So let's place 6. Reason that bomber can move up to 9 spaces is because the U.S. developed for its technology long-range aircraft, which give it an additional 2 movements at 8. But because that bomber is in an air base, okay, it gets an additional movement, so it can move up to 9. So 1, 2, actually, no, it is correct. It is 6. I do have 6 movements left on my field gauge dice. All right, so I am liberating Guangxi for the Chinese as well. So now I have 2 American divisions in Guangxi. All right, so actually there is another battle. There's a 4th battle that I was forgetting to play, which is probably a very important one, and that is I'm going to perform an attack in Guangxi. Okay, so my 2 remaining bombers in the Philippines will engage at a movement of 1, 2, and 3. All right, 3. Okay, again, these bombers have 6 movements left in their gas gauges. My fighters that are in Guam can move up to 6, 7 spaces because they are on a airbase. So I'm going to engage all 5. That's going to be at a movement. Oops, they're stuck. 1, 2, and 3. Same thing for these fellas. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so they'll be joining the attack, and they themselves have 4 spaces left, or 4 movements left on their gas gauges. All right, so that's it. Okay, and they'll be attacking the 2 Japanese infantry and artillery and 1 artillery divisions in Guangxi. Okay, so that's the 4th battle for the day. Okay, so the U.S. will be declaring 4 battles for the order of combat for this particular turn for the U.S. All right, so, and of course, if you guys noticed there, I have laid down red combat markers, which are also movement markers. Just in case if I forget anything, I do have naval movements that I have to make in the USA as well, which in case if I forget, I'm making the announcement now. All right, that those units are being marked and they are being moved. Okay, so all right, guys. So in any case, we'll be back with the results of the battles that we're engaging in today. So we're gonna go ahead with the first battle, which is the biggest battle of the two battles that are actually being fought by the U.S. The Japanese will be defending with 3 die at 2, okay, and the U.S. will be attacking with 5 fighters and 2 strategic bombers. So that's 2 at 4 and 5 at 3. All right, so I'm gonna bring my battle board here for the actual rolling of the resolve combat stage. So here we go, my attacks. Kiansi. Okay, so that's, you see there, 4 hits. So that's more than enough for the US to take out the Japanese. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so now the Japanese will roll their 3 at 2. 1 hit only. All right, so I'll be taking out 1 fighter. 1 fighter. All right, so I'll take it out right here. All right, so let's go up north. 1, 2. So up in the north, in the Papa, you could go over to the Amur up there, and we'll roll. This is the second battle. Yes. Okay. Let me get the proper dice. So the US will be attacking with 3 at 1, and the Japanese will be defending with 1 at 2. And don't go like that, Papa, because it's going to come out upside down. Okay, so don't do that.
No, because this way's upside down.
So here we go. I'm going to be rolling with the US. I got 1 hit. Okay. The Japanese will be defending, and that's all I need, with 1 at 2. Missed. So the Japanese did not inflict any casualties on the US, so this is a successful battle for the United States. All right, and that's it for the 2 battles that are being fought by the US attacking the Japanese. All right, we'll be back with the non-combat movement stage and placement of newly purchased units. We'll be back shortly. All right, so let's go ahead with the final movements for those pieces that were involved in the battle. I got movement of these fighters came in from Guam at a movement of 1, 2, 3. They still have 4 left, so they're going to go back to the Philippines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. And the bombers will also go back to the Philippines. All right, so let's remove these die. They're not necessary at this point in time, you know. And let's do the other now, the non-combat movements. So this naval transport will go in here from C-Zone 3 and move to C-Zone 2, pick up the mechanized infantry in Alaska, and we'll drop it off in Soviet Far East. Okay. Let me see what else. Okay, nothing here. Additionally, I think that's it for my non-combat movements in the Pacific. I'm going to go ahead now to the Atlantic, where we have the American fleet that needs to be moved as well. The U.S. fleet will move from C-Zone 101 and move into C-Zone 106. So that's they will be accompanied by the British fleet off the coast of Nova Scotia. All right, the entire American Army will be moving into New Brunswick as well. Here, place everybody here. All right, these guys are done. All right, let's go back. I don't think I have any other movements here in this region. All right, so the U.S. I believe is currently at 80, if I'm not mistaken. By the U.S. taking Manchuria, that brings up the U.S. to 83 IPCs. If somebody wants to double check and check their income tracker, I believe the U.S. should be at 83. I did carry over one IPC, so the U.S. will have 84 IPCs for the next round. That'll be round number 7. All right, so let's go ahead with the Chinese. The Chinese purchased 1 infantry division at a cost of 3. The Chinese had 4. They will also be carrying 1 for the next round. All right, and the Chinese are not attacking any Japanese. Actually, I am doing one attack with the Chinese, and that is the Chinese will be liberating Shenzi with all of their units moving in there. And that brings up the Chinese now, their income tracker, to 5. So the Chinese moved from Shanghai into Shenzi at a movement of 1. They liberate that territory, so the Chinese now will be collecting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the Chinese will be collecting 6 IPCs. And with the 1 that they're carrying over, that'll be 7 IPCs that the Chinese have. And of course, here we go. I'm going to place the newly purchased infantry unit, and it's going to go right on Shenzi. Okay, and that's it. That's it for the Chinese as well. It is now passing the torch over to Corporal 24, who is in command of the the British forces, both in the Atlantic and Pacific. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this episode of the YouTube Wars. Hope to hear what your comments are. And as always, guys, I really enjoy reading what you guys have to say, and very insightful commentaries, and I look forward to hearing more from you folks. All right, guys, as always, bunker down and play. All right, guys, sorry about that. I was actually forgetting to place my purchased units with the U.S.A., which I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to be placing all of my aircraft, which will be 5 tactical bombers, okay, and a bomber and 1 fighter in the Western U.S.A. Okay, so that's where these units are going to be. That's for their final placement. Okay, so they are all in Western USA. Now now I have to do my recap component to this video. Okay, so what do we have in Western USA for the United States? In the Western USA, we have 2 AAAs, 1 strategic bomber, 1 regular fighter, and 5 tactical bombers. Okay, in Alaska, you have 1 artillery. Sea Zone 3, you have 1 naval transport. In the Soviet Far East, you have 1 mechanized infantry. In the Amur, you have 3 mechanized infantry. In Manchuria, you have 1 infantry. All right, let's go further south. Actually, let's go to Hawaii, where the Americans have 2 AAAs. In the Philippines, you have 9 infantry, you have 4 fighters, and 3 strategic bombers. And Guangxi, you have 1 infantry, 1 artillery. Okay, next door you have in Yunnan 1 American armored unit. And in Sea Zone 36, you have 1 U.S. naval transport. Okay, and I believe that covers the Pacific theater. Now let's go to the Atlantic European theater, where the U.S. also has considerable forces. So in New Brunswick, you have 5 U.S. infantry, 2 artillery, actually 3 artillery pieces, Okay, 5 infantry and 3 artillery divisions in New Brunswick. Okay, in Sea Zone, I believe 106, you have 4 naval transports, 1 cruiser, 3 destroyers, 1 submarine, 1 U.S. naval aircraft carrier with 2 British Spitfires, along with 1 British battleship and 1 British cruiser. Okay, and that's pretty much it for the U.S., I believe. Okay, so that is the end of the recap portion of this video. And once again, this time I'm truly out.